Hi guys, I think it's it's either Monday or Tuesday, June 22nd or June 23rd of the year 2021 of the day of, I don't know, Jesus calendar. And we are back in the lockdown classes world. I don't know how long it's going to go on for, but I feel that it's the best way to be able to do these classes is to use a video clip to use the class. I need to make sure that everybody has the same content, that everybody has, that it's the same, and that even though people miss online classes or have technical problems, recently I read that the internet is going to have problems until July. It's going to be hot, cold, stop, start kind of thing. So this way I can upload the classes to YouTube, and we're going to be able to use them for review also. If you missed the class, you'll be able to catch it. If you want to see it again, you'll be able to review it. So that's the deal. That's the way I'm doing it. If you have some topics that you missed in the beginning of the school year, there's also first semester videos. Last semester was really, I have to say, probably only 14 weeks and maybe a little less. And this semester is 17 weeks. So for everyone's sake, we're going to get to be able to breathe more, we get to take our time, and don't have to rush through topics so dramatically and so quickly like we did in the first semester. So I'm Keith, for those students who are not in my class. Keith, I am also the year 12 person who does all the ATAR year 12 classes. So maybe you haven't had my lessons before, but this will be a preview of year 12 also. Let me start by giving some element, so where did we let off, right? So here last semester it says that in week 14 and 15, we should have been completing what is called the employment cycle. You guys studied part of the employment cycle. We were tested on part of the employment cycle. And that was the acquisition section and the development section. There's two more parts to it. So we're actually finishing up the end of semester 1 material in the first two classes today. That means that this part was pretty much tested already, the employment cycle early parts, but you still will have testing and some questions about the following two parts. The employment cycle has 4 parts, as you know. First one is acquisition. Acquisition, even though there's only 2 bullet points here in the syllabus, is one of the more complicated of the parts of the process. So acquisition, the definition of acquisition means to acquire, to find staff, and to be able to hire them. Basically, you're hiring staff. It's not easy. Some places are very, traditional, and they hire staff from their families. They keep like a family business. Many companies have huge departments, and they do lots of testing, and they have thousands of applicants for a few positions. So they have to be able to go through a lot of information in order to find the right staff. I'm going to check the camera 1 second, make sure it's going. Yes, I didn't want to make that mistake. I made that mistake before. Okay, so acquisition. I'm going to do a quick review, a couple minutes review about these topics. Acquisition, the main thing is, and we're going to we need this for the business plan that we're going to write later on in the semester, is that we need to guess about how many staff we need. So you can do that a number of ways. You can do that by guessing how many, let's say you have 140, let's say 100 students. You have 100 students, and 100 students have to take 6 classes each. That means the total number of classes that you need teachers for are 6. Wait, I'm sorry, I should do it a different way. You have 100 students, you can have 20 students in one class, and each class needs to have 6 different subjects. So 100 students, 20 in a class means you have 5 classes. 5 classes times 6 subjects means you need 30 teachers. Each teacher can only teach 5 classes. So if you have 30 classes and you think about how many teachers you need 6 teachers to teach 5 classes, which makes the 30 classes up. So you can figure out your staffing needs by your demand or your predicted demand for your product. And that's going to come back. That's going to come back to us in, it got really dark. Why? So what we're doing later this semester is we're going to take the marketing plan, which is one section of a business plan, and we're going to expand it. We don't actually have to go and make a process for recruitment or acquisition, but we do need to make an idea of our staffing needs because we need to figure out how much money we have to pay for the salaries, because we have to do a financial plan with the business plan. So, we talk about staffing needs. You can calculate that by guessing the number, the demand that you're going to have. And then you have to go through the whole process of figuring out what does each job do. There's a job analysis, which talks about what the tasks are in the job, what are the requirements of skill levels and qualifications, what kind of working environment is involved. And then you take that information, that's a job analysis, and you apply it to a job description. Job description is a formal document of the job analysis, and that document is used for not only trying to define the job inside the company, but it's also used for advertising, so employees can see what it is that they're applying for. It's used for, it's actually an official document, so it gets updated every year. So we use it when we meet with employees again at the end of a year and review their work, and we check their job description and see if it needs an update. So job description is the result of the job analysis. When you have the job description, then you're ready to advertise for the position. So then you have to think, okay, how am I going to recruit staff? Where do I look for the staff? I think I did this in a previous video. So if I'm looking for English teachers, I'm going to go to some group on Facebook or something like that. If I'm going to look for some general workers, then maybe I'll put a sign in my window that says Captain Twin, need help, help wanted. Or I'll go to a recruitment agency. If I need a CEO, I'm going to ask a company called a headhunter to go and help me find one of these, who's going to be appropriate and who has the knowledge to be the CEO of a company in my field. CEOs are employees. Some people forget. CEOs doesn't mean owner. CEOs were chosen by the board of management, who are shareholders and who are actually owners of the business. They select a CEO, which is an employee of the company. Anyway, so after you get the advertisement to the potential future staff, then the staff will go and submit applications for the job. You'll get a stack of applications, hopefully, go through them, compare them to the job requirements, and that'll come from the job analysis too. What qualifications, skills, experience in particular. And then you'll make that into a short list. You'll have like maybe 5, 7, 8, 10 candidates for the position, and then you'll interview them. So you choose to, so you get all the applications, short list, and then that goes to interviews. The interview process can also include tests of skills or situational behavior or reactions to problem solving, or even some personality tests. So there's other elements of the interview process. And if the recruit passes all the tests and does well at the interview, they will be offered the position. Just one note on recruitment and selection. Recruitment and selection is one place where EEO is very important. That's EIEIO. Equal employment and opportunity. There's a lot of, a poor job description can be discrimination. Bad interview questions can show bias and discrimination. So those are two times when you have to really be careful and to note how you approach or how you word questions and how you ask for staff. Yesterday I was looking, or I received a notification from a group that I'm in called Business Teachers in Saigon or something. Business teacher jobs, something like that. And I saw a job in there, and inside the job it said that we don't want any staff. It said we only take staff between 35 and 50 years old. That would be illegal in Australia. You're not allowed to make an age limit for something like that. They also offered the same job to two different kinds of teachers. They had teachers from, they said Western teachers, and they had a salary, and then they showed a second salary, and they said that was for teachers who were from the Philippines. Again, in Australia, I think that would be illegal. You can't have separate pay for separate jobs. That's obviously discrimination. So that's the acquisition process. Then you've selected the staff. The staff is excited, you make a start date, and you invite them to come in to the building and to do all the official responsibilities that they have to do. They have to sign in, get their card keys, they have to get their passwords for the internet. There's a million things that you have to do when you start a job so you can get used to the environment. So that's called induction. This part, induction and training, is much less complicated. It's important, but it's much less complicated. Acquisition has many steps, and development is really just mainly two things. Induction has several purposes. One, induction is there to help acclimate or to make the new recruit or the new employee feel at home, to understand the culture of the business, to understand sometimes the history of the business, that they're part of an organization and what the representation of that organization is. It's also there to help the employee to get into the productivity of the job right away, so they don't waste a lot of time. So it's there for productivity, it's there for acclimation, it's there for to build a culture in the business. So certain things are very simple. Where do I get my salary? Where's the bathroom? Some things are, here's a video about the history of our company. Here's a video about safety, how we stay safe on the job. So there's many things that can be included depending on the job. in the induction program. Training, not always necessary in every job. However, in my experience, being a college or university graduate is never really enough to do almost any job. Most companies, despite what you learned in university, they want you to do it their way. So they're going to train you in their system, and that's going to take time, money. So training has costs, right? Induction is pretty basic, but training has costs and investment of time and money. If it's a very complicated job, the training could last for weeks. If it's a simple job, it could be like, okay, here's your first customer, go for it. So training, each job has different costs of training. Maybe you can figure that into your job analysis as well. The job training also is a way that the staff can find out whether or not the job is really suitable for them. And usually there's a period of time called probation. And during that time period, if the staff and the business find that it's not really working, the employee is not really under contract yet, officially until after the probation period. So there's a period where maybe the training might lead to either understanding that the employee doesn't fit with the company, or maybe the employee has even more potential than we thought, and maybe they would be good for another position in the company. So training can highlight some more elements of the skills of staff, as well as help them do their jobs. So that's what we did up until break, I hope, in all of your classes. And that takes us to the third stage of the process. I would like to know why this camera feels so dark. Maintenance. Alright, so maintenance is the next section here. Maintenance, and you could say the goal of the employment cycle is to find the best candidates and keep the best employees. So maintenance means to maintain or keep, and it's our goal. Our goal is to be able to keep staff. And maintenance is about how you manage staff on a day-to-day level. The staff is already working for us, and we want to know how we can keep them, how we can keep the best staff. If you're in your book, I'm on page 110. Page 110 in your book. Maintenance. When you think about maintaining staff, it can be useful to go back and think about Maslow and the hierarchy of needs. If you understand your staff, and what motivates them, then you'll have more success. at being able to maintain employees. I think in some ways SIC is an interesting model for success. Me, Mr. Robert, Miss Eileen, Richard, Miss Cyril, we actually have all been working, and Stephen, we've all been here for more than 10 years. We had 3 other teachers in recent years. They moved to other countries, Canada or the US, but they also worked here for over 10 years. People at other schools, they tell me that it's very rare that teachers are staying in one place for such a long time. So I would have to say that that's a benefit for our school. Our school, I think, is really, it has a good culture that I think welcomes everyone. I think we're very supportive, we're not very competitive. It's, there are certain reasons for that. There are reasons why that has been successful. One of them that's not directly related to the management of human resources is the structure. Our structure at our school has been quite flat for, since the beginning. It's been a pretty flat structure. So instead of having many levels of hierarchy, we only have one or two, and so most people feel comfortable to share. They don't feel competitive. They don't feel like they're trying to reach some higher position in the company. So it really does increase the belonging of, if belonging is a big part of how you feel about working as a teacher in a school, then that's very successful. However, some people don't always thrive in that kind of environment. Some people have very strong esteem needs, and their goals are to get promotions, right? To have a title, to be the head of department, to be director of studies. These are ambitious people. They won't be happy in a flat system like we have here. It's hard to imagine that they would be happy in a system. And we've had ambitious staff who didn't stay very long. That's one reason why SIC succeeds. Its management structure is flat, and those who really care about belongingness find it a great working atmosphere. Another reason why SIC is able to maintain staff is that they are, I would say, because we're in a flat structure, we also are skilled employees. So we're trusted to be able to make decisions that are beneficial for our teaching. So we don't have to work like a factory worker. We all can have our own, to a degree, to a small degree, our own style of how we present the material and the work. And that's a great part of self-actualization. That's a lot of freedom to be able to teach the way you want to teach, or the way that you feel is communicating effectively to students. And it also helps you to want to grow. It helps you to want to achieve your potential. So you get self-actualization at SIC. So we have belonging, we have self-actualization. Of course, our main basic needs are met. So if you really need esteem, then this is probably not working for you so much. But if you need the other things, it's working well. So let me go and emphasize what is probably the main one. It's the green one. there's risk-taking employees, but most employees really care at their security in the job. Now, of course, that also includes, safety at work. But in our job, it's more about security. So the most effective way to establish security for workers to feel like, okay, I can build up my career here and I can develop myself as an employee and be a valuable member of this company and feel a part of it is contract. Contract is probably the number one thing, right? A contract with a salary that's reasonable. That's the main thing. So at that point, you have your green needs taken care of, your yellow and your orange, and your purple. Purple is, most jobs should take care of purple. Although Amazon, in their warehouses, they don't really let people rest very much, and they're not allowed to go to the bathroom or even really talk to other staff when they're working. So I would say that is a real challenge even to the physiological needs of staff. So, I don't know if you have your books. I assume that you need to be able to get into school to get your books at some point. I'm not sure if they warned the students that one of the most important things would be to make sure that you have all your academic materials before you went on holiday because of the pandemic. So I'm going to go, if you don't have your book now, you may not have it later, but you may have it later, and when you get it, you can also follow through and look at this lesson again, and also follow along with the parts of the book on page 110. So, maintenance. Again, the point of maintenance is to maintain or keep staff, valuable staff, valued staff, for a long period of time. And this creates a culture in the business and also motivates employees to do better. This maintenance is the purpose of having low turnover of employees. The purpose of it is obviously to save money on acquisition also, right? You want to increase productivity, establish a culture. If you turn over employees, you have to spend a lot of money to acquire them and to train them over and over again. So turnover of employees costs actually more money than it if you pay people bigger salaries to keep them, it probably makes up for the time, training, and cost that it takes to make new employees good enough to fill their shoes. So, on page 110, that's where I'm at. Maintenance of employment requires the business to continue to offer employees the conditions and the support required to retain, keep them in the workplace. Employment packages, agreements, and contracts cover the pay and the entitlements provided to the employee, and performance management, which is, you might know from performance, you think about KPIs. Performance management will occur in order to ensure that employees are rewarded and recognized for their efforts. That reward and recognition is for those people who have esteem needs. So those who have esteem needs, they're interested in bonuses and rewards. That's the focus. Now, the first thing is a contract. This contract is part of an employment package. In Australia, call them awards in the word awards, like you get an award, but it just means like the basics of that job. So for every job in Australia, they have, and we learned a little bit about this in Fair Work Australia, but for every job in Australia, most salaries are already defined. So, let me see if I can look up one. What's my pay? Okay, pay calculator. Is there anything that's quick? Unpaid work. Minimum wages. So each job will have its minimum wage for that job. I'll try to come up with a basic one. Unemployed, looking for pay rates. Okay. No, I don't know my award. What is my occupation? Search by industry. Let's say my industry is I could do education. And then, okay, so I'm in post-secondary education. They'll ask me, okay, title or code. I need to view the awards. What? There's too many. It's supposed to be for my. Okay. Wow, we came up with all this crazy stuff. I thought it was supposed to just be about education. Here it would just say higher education for the heck of it, and throw that out there. No, not a trainee. No. Next. Let's just say I'm A-level 6. I don't know what that is. And full-time. Okay, so there's the number. So they came up with the minimum wage of $32 per hour. And that would be, okay, so some kind of teacher, that's what you get. So most staff already have an idea of what their wages are and the increase in salaries that they get over time. So most Australian employment packages are not as dependent on salary figures as most countries, but obviously it's important. The employment packages in Australia, they come in different forms. You saw before that I said full-time. Here it says full-time. So full-time contracts are up to 30, I believe it's 38 hours. 38 hours is the minimum or the full-time work expectation. Now, a part-time one is also a contract, but the contract is 20 to 24 hours or something like that. There's another kind of worker that's called casual workers, but those workers are only hired for a specific time period or job. They still have a minimum wage, but they don't have any extra benefits and they don't have any extra security. So part-time and full-time workers, or permanent full-time workers, they get benefits that other part-time casual staff do not get. Okay, what is in an employment package? An employment package is going to include extra benefits that are not part of the law. The law already says how many weeks of leave we get a year in Australia. The law already protects us from certain kinds of workplace safety and equipment and things like that. So we don't really worry about that. It's more about the extra things that you get besides the salary. An employment package, I'm on page 111, paragraph 2. An employment package is a set of benefits that are offered to an employee along with their rate of pay, which is by law has a minimum. Financial benefits can be salary, superannuation. Superannuation is a tax of your salary, but it's a tax that's put into a bank account for your retirement. So it's a tax that's supposed to help support you when you're in old age. And also something called fringe benefits. Fringe benefits are the things that you get as extra bonuses as part of the job. If you work for a company that sells or has a lot of meetings, a sales job, then probably you will get a credit card from your company that allows you to charge meeting costs. In restaurants or cafes or bars, you can have that would be we call it a perk also. A fringe benefit can also be a perk. Let's define it. We need a perk in jobs. An extra payment or benefit that you get in the job. So, yeah, I think that's not super clear. Okay, the best perks. Let me think about the perks of my life. My first job was in a restaurant. I got free food. My second job was in a pizza restaurant. So I also got free pizza, and I also got to take the leftover pizza home and share it with my roommates. And that made me very popular with my roommates to bring pizza home every night. I ate a lot of pizza. My third job was, I got amazing perks. I was a waiter, but before that I worked in the kitchen. So I actually got food, and it was one of these craft beer places. And it was way before craft beer was popular. It was one of the earliest ones. It was an amazing place. And so not only did I get free food, I got free beer. And I was under 21 in America, so that was perfect for me because I was actually not even legally able to drink. Great perk. Later in life, I had another job in, I love coffee. Everybody knows that about me, so I worked in some cafes, so I had a lot of perks there with coffee. Tips. You make tips in some restaurants, so that's also an extra benefit. It's not really a perk, but it's a benefit. Later in life, I had a job at a music company in the UK, and in this job, working for this company, I got free tickets to go see events and concerts all the time. That was great. At least 3 or 4 times a week, I got free tickets to go to some concert in London. I mean, best perk in the world, really, for me. Later in life, I had my own businesses, so I didn't really have any perks. And now at SIC, I guess my perk is that my children can attend SIC with a discount. So those are perks. Those are extra benefits that are beyond the salary, beyond the normal vacation time, and all of that. Perks can be a car. Perks can be a laptop that you get to use from the company. So, financial benefits can be salary, superannuation, fringe benefits, including entertainment, cars, some kind of IT, Blackberries, I don't know what else. An expense account, which means a credit card where you can charge things to the company. Some companies give you housing. They pay for your housing expenses or your mobile phone bills or something like that. So
what is in your employment package? Those are extra fringe benefits. I don't want to get lost into these ideas on the next paragraph about awards or collective agreements. But a collective agreement is different slightly. So here in this example that I gave you of the teacher, this is what the Australian government will say is a minimum wage. You could get more, but it's a minimum wage for teachers at that level in a full-time position. There are some companies that have unions. There's still unions of workers that get together and they make workplace, what is called a collective agreement, a collective agreement with the employer for certain kinds of benefits. So that's also an alternative. But this is the legal minimum, right? Okay, so there are a few extra non-financial benefits like flexible working hours. In SIC, we as teachers have to be here for our classes, but we don't have to be here when we don't need to be here, which is an incredible fringe benefit. It's very motivating for teachers who have small children, that we get to spend time with small children. Our children half the day, some of the day when we're not working, and you know, a lot of parents, they don't get to come home and spend time with their children when they're small. But I'm very fortunate that I was able to work here and that I know my children very well because I got to spend time with them when they were very small. So that's a great fringe benefit. Some places just have childcare at work. So if you have young children, they can support you to take care of your children. Those are extra benefits. Those are not legal benefits. Those are extra benefits. I don't think we need to go into anything more than that. Okay, so, but the job contract, right, the contract itself, we could define it. A job contract is an agreement about not only the salary, but the conditions of the workplace and the conditions of employment. And the contract is between an employee and an employer. It is legally binding, and it is subject to the main laws of Australia concerning employees. So here it says it's actually 35 hours a week. I'm not sure if that's still true, but 35 hours a week is full-time. Okay, that's all I want to say about page 111. Page 112. Page 112 has to do with performance management. Every year or 6 months, the companies typically, and they should, really should, meet with employees to get feedback and to be able to give feedback to the employee about their performance and what's the future of their job, and find out what's happening, if there's some things that need to be communicated between the worker and the management. This is a very important part of human resource management too, and it's another place where you have to consider the EEO, right? You have to consider when you give raises to employees or promotions to higher positions, that there is not any discrimination between employees for those jobs. So if you just always hire the same exact kind of person for the same kind of management position, if you have all men in higher positions and all women in lower management positions, it's very obvious that there should be some improvement in those numbers. All right, performance management is, it's a cycle, right? Because it happens every 6 or 12 months. We want to do this performance review in order to help employees. It's gonna get The point of the performance appraisal is to not only help employees to do their job better, but it's also to motivate them, which we're going to go into much more in the following week. Motivating employees. The review, sometimes in a busy company, is the best time to be able to talk about issues that the staff has had, or maybe that the management has had with the staff. It's quite useful for the staff to know if they're doing well, right? If they don't know that they're doing well, they just kind of sit in the dark and they're not really motivated. They're kind of questioning, like, am I doing the right thing? So this can definitely motivate as well. The review also presents an opportunity to identify changes in the job. So in the performance review, you'll go through the job description piece by piece and say, okay, do you still do that task? Yes, no, more, less. Okay, are there any tasks that you do now that you didn't do before? And we'll add that to the job description. Is there some responsibilities that you have now that you didn't have before? What can be done to help you or to assist you to do those jobs better? Maybe with the new task that you have, you can get a salary increase. Maybe that makes sense. Maybe we should rewrite the job description to include the new duties. So lots of different elements there. This review presents an opportunity to identify changes to the job, changes in the working conditions, and also maybe in the requirements of the job. In our fast-moving 4.0, don't ask me what that means. People write it to me all the time now, 4.0 world. I don't know. What does it mean? But you can definitely say that there are new formats, new systems that are being implemented, and new technology that's being required of us, including Zoom, including Google Meets. That's a change that I have to get used to. I'm not used to yet. Is that I need training. I actually need training. That would be a good example. Okay, I know how to use Zoom very well now. I'm very good on the Zoom. I can manage a lot of information very quickly on my computer and write notes and share files and take tests and do a lot of things. But I don't know Google Meets yet, so I need training. So I would like to have that. So changes in working conditions and knowledge requirements, that's also a part of it. Training and development to assist the employee can be provided. So it helps management to know how they can support you as well. Of course, the performance appraisal is there to support the business as well. So it allows them to assess your performance. Maybe they have some criteria. You're doing good at this, good at that, good at this, not so good at this. And to try to look for areas where you can, as an employee, improve yourself. It's a time to reflect on the performance and also give rewards. So the rewards that people get can be two things, mostly promotions, moving to a higher position in the organizational chart, or some kind of reward in money or salary. Conversely, performance reviews reveal to the employer any problems in the employee's performance. So we have both sides. If this has occurred, the employer can raise issues with the employee. This will provide both the employer and employee the opportunity to develop a strategy to improve performance. Let's keep it working together. That's the goal of performance management. Let me put the cycle up. can see, there's a lot of strategy involved, I guess, in a big organization and how they manage these problems. But the main point for what I want to focus on with you is that it goes around in a cycle, right? So it starts with goals, right? So the cycle, you have a goal which is done through the famous 3 letters, K, key, performance, P, indicators, KPIs. So you already have a goal for the year or some sales target or whatever it is. More and more companies use KPIs. Are they always useful? Some jobs it's hard to say, right? Doctors, police, teachers, some KPIs, some jobs are harder to test than others. But many jobs have a KPI. So you have your KPI and then you have your expectations. And then here is where you start to have the feedback and discussion and talk about the progress and update the different elements of the job. And here you get to a review of past performance, and then here you get to rewards. The thing that's I think needs to be recognized is that this is also the ending point of that cycle. So at the performance review, at your performance appraisal or review, you need to set a new KPI. And then when the new KPI is set, then you look at the employee and you say, okay, is this a target that we can really manage to reach? And then the employee will say, well, yes, or they might say, I could, but I need resources. I need this, I need 2 more staff, I need this much money, I need a new system for recording some data, or something like that. So then there's an opportunity for the management to provide resources to the staff in order to reach their KPI. So you finish the performance appraisal by setting a new target, a new KPI. I like the example. I kind of like the example on page 113. I think it's pretty good. Cooper, someone named Cooper, is employed as the accounts manager in a large organization. His role has expanded in the last year, changing from reporting and administration to preparing and budgeting. So there's some extra accounting he has to do. He's also expected to make a forecast for the future. So that's a different skill, right? That's a big difference. After 6 months of these extra new responsibilities, he was unhappy, and his effectiveness in his role, and he was also not happy with his own performance in this role. He did not feel that he could do this job well. His stress levels increased as a result of the expanded workload, but also because he had the same salary. So he felt bad. He felt like, wow, I'm doing all this work, more work than ever, and I'm getting the same money. The human resource manager conducted a performance management review with Cooper. In response, changes to the job role and the job description were identified. And he was given extra training on how to do some of the new tasks that he was supposed to do. So that was great, that's good. So now he's recognized for doing the job that he didn't even, get credit for before. But now he also has training, a revised job role, and a new pay structure, so he's getting higher pay. The changes helped ensure Cooper was happy, motivated, and committed, loyal, low turnover staff member who believes that he is contributing to the success of the business with his work. So he is, that's a success story, right? Sometimes management, they don't really recognize either what's important to the employee on the hierarchy of needs. Sometimes you can offer people some extra money, but it's not enough because they really want long-term security. That's their interest in that job. So you have to know your employees too, right? A little bit. Performance reviews are supposed to be a win-win situation for the organization and for the employee. This is because the organization is trying to do what? The goal of human resource management is low turnover, not losing staff. Why? Because it costs a lot of money to replace them, and the culture of the staff and the motivation of the other employees will go down. So of course there's another element of this, not only the success of the employee in their performance and their ability to meet their targets, but also bonuses and rewards. I think most staff in Vietnam, they get some kind of bonus or reward for Tet, around Tet holiday. It's quite common. I'm going to check the projector real quick. I wish I knew how much time was each class. But it doesn't matter. I can complete what I want to complete. So I'll just say I'll start with this, and I'll continue with it on the next video. So what we have is some kind of rewards, right? Most of us like to hear good things about our work when we do it well. We like to hear things from our parents that are positive. When our parents say positive things about us, it's very motivating for us. It makes us very happy and loyal. Well, I guess we're loyal to our parents anyway. But so it means that there's benefits that you get that are not just money. Money's great. But sometimes you remember something that somebody said to you more than you actually remember how much money you spent, right? If someone puts in a kind word, or they say, wow, this project was amazing. If people say amazing about you, that stays in your head for a long time. Wow, you're amazing. People are very much motivated by those kind of words. The kinds of rewards that people get that are money, or let's say some kind of gift or something like they can put on the wall, or things you can touch, things you can spend, those are called extrinsic. They're outside of you. They're outside of you. They're extrinsic rewards. X means outside. And the other kind of rewards that you get, the ones where you feel something, you feel good about your work, are called intrinsic, like some praise that you get, are called intrinsic rewards. The idea that you're trusted to do your job and you're given responsibility is trust. Trust is a huge reward. That's an intrinsic reward. I'm going to continue with this on the next video because the rain is now coming and it's very, very hard, and I think that I have to shout in order for anyone to hear me. So happy Monday or Tuesday. Welcome back to school. I guess some kind of virtual classroom we are. And I hope that, I'll just talk to you in the next video. Have a great day.